Okay, welcome to episode number 13 of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast. I am your host, Triple J. Joining me, as always, is Dr. Games 101.
Good afternoon.
Yes, it's afternoon, even though it's 9 p.m. where we both live.
Pretty much, yeah.
Anyway, I had to do that when you said good afternoon. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about the latest topics in gaming, as we always do. And one game that we've covered a lot is the dumpster fire known as Marvel's The Avengers.
Ooh, that's useless thing.
Did you know that The Avengers, they're still planning to release extra characters like Kate Bishop and Black Panther, even though they were supposed to have come out by now?
Yeah, that just came out back, over 6 months ago, if not 4 months ago?
I think it came out like October-ish.
Okay, that's strange enough to wait this long, but they already know the fact that they lost what? It was not even 10,000 at most that they had for the first few hours to a couple of days, and by the time,
I know Square Enix, after like all the sales came in, they still lost like $63 million on this game. That's
a lot of money right there.
Yeah, 63 million. I mean, I get it, Square Enix, they created some of the Final Fantasies, but on PlayStation at least.
Yeah, that was their heyday, the RPG games of the 90s into the 2000s.
But the thing is, just because you're a big company like Square Enix, I mean, I don't even think Rockstar could sustain a hit like that. At least not multiple hits.
$60 million, you're right. That's a lot of money right there. That's enough to make a good, decent game if you took that amount of money and spread it out for that one game throughout like a 5-year period. Make a decent game.
Like, 63 million was like 25 to 33% of the budget that Grand Theft Auto 5 had.
That's a lot. Or how much shit.
Not the budget it had, but how much it cost to make.
Right.
But then again, they made over $1 billion in sales in 3 days. So if the most 250 million it cost to make, they had to make a profit, is what I'm saying.
It's short term. That's about it. After that, the long term. They don't care about the long term. These companies these days.
I wouldn't say that. I would say that they put because I don't know if you've seen the advertisements on YouTube, like some casino heist that they have the advertisement for, all these multiplayer things that they're adding in.
Yeah, for GTA 5 specifically, especially, yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be. I think that's what they're doing to entice people who haven't bought it yet.
Okay.
Even if you finished it and sold it, maybe you want to get the game back, though they wouldn't get used game sales. But maybe you want to buy it digitally and try out the online mode, or try out the online mode if you haven't played it recently, see what else is new.
Right.
Because I bet you that even like if you buy a game digitally, it's still gonna whoever made the game is still getting a cut. I bet.
Well, the middlemen, the marketers, the advertisers, they'll definitely get a nice, decent cut of that change. So,
right.
As always.
But anyway, back to Marvel's The Avengers. Yeah, I mean, with a loss like that, and the next note I have, only 2,000 people are still playing the game at any given time.
Right.
It's like, do you think like this game should just be for like left, or do you think they really should?
It should be in a limited state. What, 2,000 players? That's so little. Yeah. That's like the average population of Alien versus Predator 2 for the PC back during the last year or two of its mainstreaming of streaming online through the servers. But now after that shut down. They reinvigorated itself with those secret servers, you want to call it like that. But the problem is the publishers went down greatly. So, it is in essence it aged very well. Alien vs Predator 2 as an example, but Avengers, this game when I saw it didn't age well. It's only been not even 6 months, and they had less than 2,000 population. That's weird.
Yeah.
And Apex Legends, which is more of a free-to-play game, yes, but you can still play as much as you want for free. And it was like 10 million people playing at one time for 3, if not 4 months. You know, that lasted pretty well. Problem though, there's no long-term investment into these games these days because that's all they care about is just the short term. And it helped out, to make the money first, but if I ever want to have my own gaming company, which I really thought of when I was a kid or a teenager, I would have definitely make a good game that lasts for a very long while, like Devil May Cry, or Final Fantasy VII, or any Final Fantasy game, even Legend of Zelda. People still buy Legend of Zelda games from like the first one for the Super Nintendo or for Nintendo, and
for Nintendo, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm willing to buy one day at the first Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo system. I still got my Nintendo system, so it's like,
Yep.
So it's like, it's long term. That those companies at the time and people in those companies at the time thought of the long stretch, the long road, and they still make money to this day. It's still in their fancy lifestyle or whatever they make from the long earnings. So, but it's been 20 years ago, 15, maybe 10 years ago. Last time we saw a decent game that lasted for a very long time. But then again,
if you're talking about Legend of Zelda, that was like I think that was like right before we were born, like 85, 86.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
So that's like over 30 years ago, almost 35.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, Mario just had didn't Mario just have like the 35th anniversary?
I believe so. The first ever Mario game for Nintendo was back in 1986 or 1987.
I think 85 because maybe 85, no, 85, especially if you count the Japan release.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was thinking of English, the United States.
Yeah. Well, even then, 86 and 87, Nintendo's really what revived the video game industry in the United States in the mid-80s.
Mm-hmm.
Pat the NES Punk's YouTube channel, they had I forgot what it was called, what the series was called, but he and a bunch of other people on YouTube talked about how the video game industry basically crashed in '83 and how Nintendo revived it just a few years later.
Oh yeah, they were the sole pioneers.
We could play those videos if you want. I just would have to cut that out of the. I would have to cut that out when we edit this.
Okay, maybe we'll try that later.
Okay, but anyway, so the Avengers. Yeah, are you surprised that there's 2,000 people left only playing the game?
It's not too surprising to some extent, but it's just that when I saw the gameplay and the graphics, it looked like something out of the 360 era, and I think to myself, like, why now they want to put this game out there, knowing that the Avengers are pretty much over with on the cinematic version. The 1, 2, and 3, like if not four Avenger movies came out back not even a year or two ago. So they waited at that right afterwards, and that's a bad move on their part. If they did it like right before Infinity War, or if not Endgame, then they make more money, more players will play it. Try to say the story better, whatever's going on. But to the average,
Well, they could have continued the story in Infinity War through a video game form, like Scarface: The World Is Yours, but the game has to be good.
And it was good Scarface, what I heard. I saw the trailer many times, and I'm like, God damn, I gotta get that game before it's too late and gets expensive.
Yeah,
that was Scarface now.
Now it's not even worth it.
What, Scarface?
No, the Avengers.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, I'll play it if it's on sale for like what, 10, not even $10, not even $5 maybe.
I wouldn't even spend that much on it because I mean, don't you need? Doesn't it? Don't in order to play with other superheroes, you have to play with other people online, and like this number says, finding people online is going to be a hassle.
So there's no offline content for this game.
I don't know that. I assume there is like a single player version, but I don't think. But like I think you'll be one superhero going. The way I'm familiar with the Avengers game is if you and other superheroes are going around, then it's other people controlling the superheroes. It's not AI.
Oh, okay. That's partially sucked because they know that they might take risks with the game. So rather than put it all online modes, and that's what they're doing for years now, doing all these online games because not everyone's going to be playing it all day every day and play for many months if not years. Most of these today's games. Look at Anthem. That was a horrible crap show if you want to call it like that. They made a
Yeah,
mistake.
not every game is going to have the online life of span of Left 4 Dead 2 or something.
Yeah, now I'm surprised on what's it called? Steampower.com. There's still Left 4 Dead 2 players and Left 4 Dead 1 players on there after all these years. I'm like, wow. And it came out with a new expansion on Left 4 Dead 2.
Yeah, well, expansions have been coming out. Like Left 4 Dead 2, they have the campaigns that you can either play some single player or online. And like when I first played the game, like in 08, 09, they had like a few campaigns, maybe 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I played it, like this was like 5 years ago, they had like 12 to 16 campaigns. Most of them were DLC, but you could tell that things were being added to the game, to make people keep coming back to it.
Right.
Because they'd buy the extra campaign and see what the story was.
Hmm.
And apparently all the campaigns, like the end of one campaign would match up to the beginning of the next. Because like every campaign was like 4 levels.
Right.
So like it was one overarching story broken up into like sects.
Hmm.
But you know what? It was 4 people fighting off a zombie apocalypse. I mean,
Right.
and it was fun because also if you played by yourself, the computer wasn't exactly moron. They actually did help.
They were just as smart as like regular players playing with you.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Yeah, it was just as good. I mean, I remember one time I was getting ganged up on Left 4 Dead 2. I was playing with other people that I didn't know that I just let join my game. I was like, I'm pinned down. Can anyone come help me? and then I see 2 guys run back.
That's good.
And they fight just enough so I can get away from the horde, and then we all take off to the. I think we were all running toward this boat to get off the island.
Okay.
But that's good. The Avengers. I think it's just a lost cause at this point.
Yeah, it's not like the ones we played together on recording back like 5 years ago, if I remember correctly. The Marvel, what's it called? Marvel
Ultimate
Super
Alliance. Yeah.
Yeah, Ultimate. Yeah, that was all right to play with other people offline, if not with people offline rather than online, because nothing lasts forever
online if you had PS3 or Xbox 360.
Okay.
But the thing is, the PS3 and Xbox 360 games are more expensive.
Yeah. At the time, it was somewhat affordable, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's still affordable. If you got $10, $15, you could. I mean, you might not want to buy both games right at once because then you're looking at something like $30, $40. But like, if you want to buy one of the games, $20 should be more than enough for one of them.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, so that was Marvel's The Avengers. Next, this one I'm really interested in. Night Trap is getting a re-release on Sega CD. Do you know about the game Night Trap?
Is it where they have that hot chick running in the dark and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's a bunch of girls at a house, and apparently these figures, all covered in black, are like trying to kill the women.
And you control them, they like in somewhat not real time, literally, but you have to put it at the right place at the right time, like the Power
You got to be
Rangers
in the
game.
right place at the right time, because you're controlling a camera system, and if someone steps in the right place, you can activate the trap.
Hmm. Interesting.
So basically, you're just going around the house. You're looking, and if you see someone step in the right part of the room, and you have access to the traps, you just press a button, and the trap will be activated. But the thing is, the women that you're trying to protect could also fall into the traps if you're not careful. Like if you press a button at the wrong time.
Hmm.
And there's also people who switch. The people who live at the house, they can switch the code at any time to a different color, so you have to listen to conversations. So when you no longer have access to the traps, you know what to change the code to, so you can regain access to the traps.
Hmm. Interesting.
It's but I mean the only really good way to get good at the game is either be lucky or to have the game memorized, where you know every bad person's going to be, when the game's going to switch the codes, stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be pretty
And
easy after a while
huh?
memorizing. You know,
What was that?
I said that would be pretty easy to memorize them after a while because it's a set type of scenes, not like an actual unpredictable, randomized type of events. You know,
Right, it's FMV. So,
what's the
but the
FMV
thing
stand
is,
for?
stands for full motion video.
Hmm.
Like you, what you're watching through the camera is it's all real actors and actresses, um, that you're watching while you're trying to capture a bad guy.
It's almost like the first Resident Evil game that came out. They showed like live action characters like that: Jill Valentine, Albert Wesker, Barry Burton, Rebecca Chambers, Chris
Yep,
Redfield. Okay.
Albert Wesker.
Yep, I bet you Wesker. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, I mean, Resident Evil, when the gameplay started, you were controlling someone, and it went back to graphics. This is all FMV. It got a bad rap, but I mean, honestly, I'm someone who likes Sega CD games. I like Who Shot Johnny Rock, which is kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Except instead of controlling a camera system, basically you go somewhere, and when someone pulls out a gun, you have to shoot their hand,
Okay.
um, to shoot the gun at them. But you gotta know where someone's gonna pop up, and if you don't have gun peripheral, you're moving the cursor over the screen with control. The
Hmm.
only way to get good at the game is to know who's gonna pull out a gun, where they're gonna come from.
I
But
see.
Night Trap, that's one game I've never had the chance to play. And are you surprised that they're re-releasing it for the Sega CD?
Not you're telling me they're gonna go back to the old console and release it on that?
Yeah, that's what I heard. That's what
I
that's
thought
what we.
I thought they're supposed to be like some sort of like replica, like that of Nintendo and PlayStation with their the 21 games or 15 and one games, whatever it's called. You know.
This is it already came out for the Nintendo Switch, so you can play it on the Switch if you want. But I heard it's getting a re-release on the actual Sega CD.
Who has Sega City still after all these decades?
I
Not that many
do.
people.
I do.
Yeah, if you're lucky to get like what a 10,000 people buying it within the first month, if you're lucky.
Well, keep in mind it's probably going to be a limited release,
Okay.
so it's probably just going to give. I bet people who still have it, who want to play it, they're still gonna buy it because Night Trap. I'm gonna check up on price charting. Night Trap's not an easy game to buy, and I've never tried to play it on emulator, but if there's no really good emulator for it, let me see. A Sega CD. Yeah, Night Trap Moose is $25.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not that rare. Not as rare as I thought.
Yeah, but the system itself, especially the CD version or the CD component and compartment of the Sega Drive or the Sega system,
Yeah.
that's kind of rare to find these days, right?
Not if you go on eBay or Amazon.
Hmm.
Sega CD Model 1. Ooh. Yeah, the CD models are quite pricey according to price charting.
Yeah, so most people are not going to buy it because to most the average gamer today are today's games or the present moment of the games. Now, older gamers like anyone over 35 or if not 30 years old like us, for example, we can afford it to some extent, but let's face it, we're sticking with the current stuff, even if it's not as good as the past games, because most of the past games, no one's not playing anymore. So you only play out for nostalgia reasons, just like few older gamers, like you and I, for example. But not often, though. Like last time I played Chrono Trigger was like over a year ago, and I did a sample game.
You never got back to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I never did a sample gameplay since. I'm not saying I don't like the game or don't want to play it. It's just that I'm so focused on today's games. The Apex Legends, Halo Master Chief Collection. Then you got the what's that called? The newest game, Hitman 3. Hitman 3 came out over 10 days ago.
Oh, okay.
I just read it in the Game Informer magazine. It came out. It's gonna come out January 20th, and it's like a one-player experience. Yep. And I heard it was going to be the last game for a very long time of the Hitman franchise or the Hitman series. Because what happened is that they rebooted it for the Hitman 1, 2, 3 of today's decade, which is Hitman, Hitman 1 2016, Hitman 2 2018, and Hitman 3 2021. So, just as an example.
Yeah, I mean, I played the first Hitman. My cousin and I played it for a night. I really couldn't figure. The only missions we were able to complete were like the training missions. The first mission when you had to kill like that important couple like during this party.
Mm-hmm.
I played for hours and I just couldn't figure out how to do it, at least without getting caught.
Mm.
And I just lost interest in that. Hitman was actually did become a Games with Gold 1 month.
Yeah, Hitman Blood Money.
No. The actual Hitman in 2016.
Oh yeah, that was like either it became free as a part of Xbox Gold or part of Game Pass at one point.
It was Games with Gold. I just didn't download it because by the time it became a Game with Gold, I had already sold off my copy and wanted nothing to do with it.
Isn't that bad? The first Hitman of reboot.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that the story mode wasn't all that good, and the promotion though was good though. They actually brought in 2 old actors from like the old school era. They were saying, "I'm going to explode you," and they decided who's going to be killed, who's not going to be killed. The way they promoted the Hitman 1 series back in 2016 was good, but then all of a sudden when you play the game, it's like it's not as good as the first trilogy back in the 2000s.
Mm.
It's pretty good, I have to say. It was a good eye catcher.
Go on.
I would say it was a good eye catcher because with the Hitman 2016, I never really played the actual game, but I've downloaded as a free Games with Gold, so I still have it listed on my account on Xbox. So I'll try to play that sometime this next month, hopefully. But but Hitman.
Yeah, I never played. I played the first one. Didn't really like it because my cousin and I, like when I first got the game, we spent like 6 hours on it, and like we beat the training levels, and then we just couldn't figure out. Both of us had to get past the first one, and then I completely had no interest in Hitman 2. I didn't even know Hitman 3 was coming out. I still have Hitman Blood Money on my Xbox One.
But
I
Hitman
never
is.
tried. I haven't tried it yet.
I played Blood Money with Kevin, your friend from many years ago. That was the last time I
Yeah.
talked to him. After that was when we played Hitman together, and with his other friend, he was an engineer for a computer engineer and stuff. So we were like fixing. He was fixing his computer and all, and I see all these parts inside the computer. It was a good memory of us, spending time together at the time. So, but
Oh,
other than that,
I didn't even know you two hung out without.
yeah, for a while because we saw each other. I think we saw each other online, or I saw him online through how did I met? I think I met. Obviously, I met him through you, but we kept each other's
Right.
screen names on AOL. That's how I
Oh,
was,
okay.
talked to him after a while. So, but that was back then, of course. AOL was a
Yeah.
different time and place now. Everyone's on Messenger, so.
Yeah.
But with
So
this Hitman thing, they, I think that's a good thing. They're gonna end it for a very long time. That's if they really mean it in the magazine I read, especially I'll read up online. So they have to stop it because obviously, oh sure, I'm part of a Facebook group that's very into the Hitman franchise. There's memes they make. They talk about what levels to beat, how to beat them, stuff like that, gameplay, recordings, that type of stuff. And we like and share each other's content. So it's still a community for that, and it will be around for a very long while. So the younger gamers, the ones that grew up with the rebooted trilogy from 2016 to now, they will anticipate for the next Hitman when they're in their 40s, or if not, at least in their 30s. So
right, and when Xbox Series X and S and PS5 become more mainstream, like a couple years from now, they could redo another trilogy.
it's a little too soon though because they milked it too much. The Hitman
I don't
franchise.
know. I mean, if Hitman 3 is the last one for now, I'm saying maybe 2024, 2025 they could come back.
That's a little too
Or
soon.
you still think too soon?
Yeah, 3 years is only that's too short.
Okay.
If you look at
So
look at Fear Effect. Fear Effect was released back in that was 1999, and they're coming out with a reboot or a remake or a re-release or something of that sort by what 2022. So it's been over 20 years later they do something about rehashing or reinvigorating the community, or at least the new players will see this game for the first time. So
Okay, so I mean, you think maybe? So when the PS6 and the next Xbox comes out, do you think then it would be enough time had passed to release more Hitman games, or?
at least that, yeah, at least at the earliest.
Yeah, you don't want it to become like a Resident Evil series.
Yeah, because Resident Evil 4 was a good revelation. Like, okay, we understand you want to get new players into the community, but by the time you did 5, 6 Revelations 2, it was turned into this action pack rather than scary feeling.
Yeah, that was the whole reason they made 7. They said we want to bring Resident Evil back to its roots, but instead of having hundreds of zombies running around, you're going to deal with this creepy family that's possessed.
Mm-hmm. And Resident Evil 8 Village is coming out sometime this May, yeah, definitely May, and Chris Redfield's going to be part of the cast of that game. So you might going to meet him at times in the game. So.
And the thing is, I mean, since we're talking about Resident Evil 3 was kind of disappointing, the remake.
Oh yeah, I heard it wasn't anticlimactic. It was just not very, but at least poorly done. The remake.
Yeah,
They,
I heard like there were even some levels or some areas from the actual game missing in the remake.
yeah,
Like some of the locations you visited, like in the PlayStation version or the GameCube version, didn't make it to the remake.
like the Tyrant, aka Nemesis, Bazooka, like you
No,
weren't
no,
able
no.
to find on
Like,
the PlayStation.
I think the hospital was completely left out.
Oh yeah, now I remember. Okay, Carl's supposed to be the playable character too in Resident Evil 3,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and I don't think that happened either, except for the mercenaries mode.
Yeah.
But then I heard the mercenaries mode was completely tacked on anyway.
Mm.
It definitely didn't get the care Resident Evil 2 did.
Oh yeah. And speaking of
Right.
Resident Evil again, there's gonna be I think we already mentioned this in our last episode or two that Resident Evil reboot of a movie is coming out 2021 this year. So
Yes. Do you have any more information on that? Since
um, unfortunately, not at this moment. I haven't
do
heard
you know
anything
that
else about it. I read on
I
yeah.
all I know is that it's a reboot of a movie. I have no idea if it's a CGI movie or a live action movie.
Most
Do
likely
you
live
know?
action because it has actors in it, like actual
Okay.
actors. So
Oh, hopefully they keep Ali Lauder as Claire Redfield. Uh,
I doubt it.
I mean she's well, if you've seen the Resident Evil movies as Claire, her as Claire, she's hot. That's all I have to say.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Um. Anyway, so moving on. Did you ever hear of the game for PlayStation Die Hard Trilogy?
I played Die Hard Arcade in the arcade back over 25 years ago.
But you never played the Die Hard Trilogy for PlayStation?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Just the
Okay.
Sega Saturn, it was on Sega Saturn home consoles as well as the arcade. And I played the arcade version a lot after every bowling game I did for my community exercise or community sports and stuff like that back in the past.
Okay, well, Die Hard Trilogy was three games in one, based on the three Die Hard movies that had come out at the time.
Mm-hmm.
The first Die Hard game was a third-person shooter where you had to go around killing the bad guys and saving the hostages.
Mm-hmm.
The second game was a first-person rail shooter where, and when enemies came on the screen, you had to shoot them, and if you needed a power-up or health or better gun, when you saw the icon on the screen, you had to shoot it. The third game was a driving game, and you could play like first-person view of the driving game, but the thing is, I never got far in the driving game because just like games like Night Trap, Die Hard 3, it was impossible to get far unless you had the game memorized
Okay.
because you're driving the car like 100 miles per hour or some ridiculous speed, and the co-actor from Die Hard 3 who played Zeus was giving you instructions, left, turn right, etc. But the thing is, once you made one wrong turn, he stopped giving you instructions, so you didn't know how to get back on track if you made a wrong turn.
That's
And
not
you could
good.
play, and you could play the Die Hard 3 first-person view, looking through the windshield. And
Nice.
if you ran down pedestrians, the blood would appear on the windshield, and the windshield wipers would automatically activate, wiping the blood away from the windshield.
That is so
And,
fucked
be-
up.
and because of that, the game was banned in Germany.
Wow. I wonder why. I mean, there's no Hitler in the game, is there?
No, they said the whole reason the game was banned was because when you went over pedestrians, blood was on the windshield, and the windshield wipers wiped the blood away.
For Red, I thought it was something like from the Wolfenstein games back in like 5 years ago, 3 years ago.
Nope, it was all based on the Die Hard movies. It was all based on the Die Hard movies, and all because if you ran over pedestrians, the game was banned in Germany.
That sucks. And that was back in the
Yeah.
90s, right?
Huh?
That was back in the 90s, the Die Hard trilogy, right?
Actually, PlayStation, so it's kind of like 2000s, early 2000s.
Okay, so it's like that of like Siphon Filter 3. It was kind of late in its release of on the PS1, that is. So I can understand that matter.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I had the game. I thought it was fun. I really didn't like the third game that much, but I did like the first and second game.
Okay.
But the thing is, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't know until earlier this week. I found out the game was banned in Germany because if you run over pedestrians, the windshield wipes the blood away.
Yeah.
So, did speaking of the Die Hard games, you said you played an arcade one?
It's called Die Hard Arcade. Basically, Bruce Willis and some chick you're teaming up with. If you're in a two-player co-op that is offline, on the same screen, you fight terrorists and bad guys in a building that's full of like these gangsters and ninjas and big and tall guys with like big bellies, and some of them have like cannons. Some of them have rocket launchers, handguns, knives, a broom handle you can use a weapon with. As you progress, you lose clothing off of yourself. So it's not nudity, obviously not, but basically you're fighting a one hell of a battle trying to rescue the president's daughter. And by the time you reach the boss, you have to beat him 2 times in order to defeat him. So.
And this was a Die Hard arcade game?
Yes, it was.
I never heard of this game.
It came out on arcade back in 1996. And they came out on Sega Saturn in '97. I never got the what?
That was after the third Die Hard movie because Die Hard 3 came out 1995.
Okay. Yeah, it was very popular in the '90s. That game. They may not be like
the Die Hard franchise was pretty popular in the '90s.
Yeah. Then once until that Die Hard 2013 movie came out. What's it called? Live Free, not Live Free or Die Hard. It's called It's Good to Die Another Day or some shit like that.
A good day to die hard.
Something like that. Yeah. It was not. It was good of its action, but it didn't live up to the actual grassroots of the series or the grassroots of the movies themselves.
Live Free or Die. I'm sorry. Finish what you were saying.
Oh, that's all I have to say. Live Free or Die Hard was in 2007, so.
Yeah, Live Free or Die Hard was a good movie. I still watch that sometimes. But, like, I've tried watching A Good Day to Die Hard, and it's not the same. It's Bruce Willis. I wouldn't even call it a Die Hard movie. I'd call it Bruce Willis in an action-packed movie. The story, the story isn't captivating like in the other Die Hard movies.
Of course.
But any of the first 4 Die Hards is great, but the last one, A Good Day to Die Hard, I think that really killed the franchise.
And now they're not gonna make no more anymore because Bruce Willis is getting too old.
Actually, just a few years after A Good Day to Die Hard, Bruce Willis made the reboot of Death Wish.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, it looks good to watch it.
My mother and I watched it, and my mother has seen all the Death Wish movies. I've only seen a few of them.
With Bronson in it, right?
Yeah, and it's like as its own standalone movie with its own storyline, taking away the Death Wish name, movie, but it's not a Death Wish movie.
it's a.
I told my mom, like, if I was in charge of that movie, the only thing I would have changed was the title.
Of course.
I would have called it The Death Dealer or something like that. And my mom's like, yeah, they even called him that in the movie, so why not go with that title? I mean, why do you need to leech off an old movie franchise, especially when you got Bruce Willis as your star, as your main actor?
Well, you can't bring back Bronson. He died back in the late '90s or the early 2000s. So, he died in the 60s. What's that?
I have no idea when he passed away. I'll look it up right now.
He died in the 60s, or if not 70s.
Oh, Bronson.
I could be wrong about the dates at least. The earliest he died was.
He died 2003.
Okay. So you could make a reboot with him right now, obviously.
But I'm saying, why even make it a reboot? Why not just make your own IP? That way you can make a whole series of movies.
That's the thing with today's Hollywood. They want to leech off of the old stuff like Star Wars and Pirates of the Caribbean, Grand Theft Auto,
Star Trek.
Star Trek. Oh yeah, Discovery. I heard he emasculated Picard in his own series back last
Yep.
year or two. I don't know how they did
Yep.
it exactly, but they basically screwed up the reputation of Picard.
Yep. Um, but the thing is, like I'm saying, they could have taken this reboot of Death Wish, made it the Death Dealer, and then they could have had a whole another series if Bruce Willis wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, they I guess Hollywood was so unsure about their abilities that they wanted to cash in on a franchise that they had to leech off of.
They don't want to take risks because the only movie that I saw that standalone and was made from scratch was Gemini Man. And I'm not saying that's the best movie because I saw the trailer. I mean, what I like about the trailer, or at least that's what I'm thinking of when I'm going to watch a movie soon, was that Will Smith, the either younger Will Smith, because it was a younger Will Smith versus the older Will Smith, and I think the younger Will Smith uses a dirt bike as a weapon. So that's what I like about the movie. I want to see more of that. So they showed that off in the trailer. And I was like, okay, this may be a good movie, but most people don't like those type of movies. Some strange reason, you know.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
Yeah,
people. I'm not saying.
I could see that people don't like the story where someone has to kill themselves in the future, or kill like a doppelganger of themselves.
Or that it's just brand new to begin with because it has nothing to do with a story of a book or an old movie from the 1990s or 70s. It's all about rehashing things, not about making things from scratch.
I wouldn't say that because, like, I mean, I think of movies from the past decade, like Four Brothers, that was pretty good, and that wasn't based off anything that I know of. Town was pretty good. The Town was pretty good.
Okay.
Not based off anything. What else? There were other movies that were, as far as I know, not based off anything. Brooklyn's Finest, although that was like 13, 14 years ago, so that's more than 10 years ago. But like these movies weren't based off anything. They were just telling their own story, and they were still good.
Kind of rare to find those as of late because
Kind of rare to find those now, and that's the problem with Hollywood.
Especially with COVID-19, they shut down most of the theaters, and the closest theater I want to go to is like somewhere in Long Island that takes like an hour to get there by train.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, that really shouldn't affect Hollywood with all the streaming platforms available nowadays.
But I want a movie theater experience. Get the popcorn, got the nachos or nachos, and had the big tub of soda, and you get the sound effects. What's that called? The HD surround sound. Yeah, at a 4K now they have in my theater as of like last year before everything shut down. They were getting better.
Well, it'd be nice. It'd be nice to go to the theaters, but with Democrats in control, good luck with that happening.
De Blasio, yeah.
Yeah, and Democrats at the top also. But but the thing is, with streaming platforms anyway, so what? You get yourself some good speakers, and then you could have the movie experience at home anytime you want. The movies on demand are cheaper than going to see the movie to get a movie ticket, and then you could just have the food at home.
Right.
And heck, what is made at the theaters that you can't have at home? You can make yourself popcorn, you can make yourself a pizza, you can make yourself nachos and cheese. You could you could get yourself candy from the drugstore.
You got a point. I guess you're saying the movie theater business is going to be out of service after a while if this shutdown keeps it up,
If the shutdown keeps it up, yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later because it might depend on if someone is holding on to stocks or not.
Oh yeah, with the GameStop stocks and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
We should have cashed in on that. We should have put us.
so I mean,
We should have put
so
like $10 in that stock to get like $1,000 easily.
dude, the GameStop stock is like $300.
Well, it was actually at one point about $500 at most.
Yeah, but I mean, when something's high, you don't buy. You wait for it to come down.
Well, at the time, back over what, a week and a half ago when it started, because
Yeah.
back over a week and a half ago, the stocks was originally like $3. It was at most what, $10 a share. So
I did some research. Yeah, it was like 20. It was some people saying it was $20 a share like 2 weeks ago.
not even, and I could just put $20 just for one stock, and within not even 2 or 3 days, I would have enough money to buy, pay off my debt and help my aunt pay for my internet. But yeah, so just let the people know out there that if for my videos that I posted recently, I might have no internet by after February. So if you just want to know what happened with my internet quality or my quality of my videos, you know why. So
Yeah. So, but I mean, we'll probably have to do the podcast over the phone if
yeah, and I have a recording device on my phone, or I have a recording device on my. I have an actual separate recording device. I can record with the phone conversation with you, James, here at home.
Okay.
So, I may not upload it right away, but within a matter of weeks, if not months later, I can just upload all the episodes. So,
yeah. So well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
right.
Um,
Hopefully,
but
we get the check.
Yeah, but the thing is, back to the movie situation. Since movies are a thing that we can't do right now, it's best just do what you can, and it's not like we don't have anything. And for people who are making movies in Hollywood, before the theater shut down, you were really favoring streaming platforms anyway.
Not necessarily, because over the last, I would say, at least a year, even before the pandemic, there was all these streaming services popping up everywhere: Disney Plus, ESPN Plus.
That's what I'm saying.
HBO Max, and I didn't like that. And Netflix started losing library volume of information, of material on their library. So you think to yourself, you want to cancel your Netflix, screw these streaming platforms, screw TV, just use your internet for piracy, even if it might cost you your reputation or your criminal record or whatever you're going to develop over time. And that's it. Go F them, You go F themselves,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. All these streaming platforms are happening, and if you have a strong enough internet connection, now is more of the time to use them than not, because what else do you have?
They forced us. They forced us to
We would
that
love to have
matter.
the movie theater experience, but we just can't right now.
They forced us into this matter. I know for a fact did you know that there's a chance that it was planned? Because back in 2019 in January, Congress created a bill that was part of the stimulus package for a year from that moment, which was last year. So I think I shared that with you over about 4 months ago. I think it was I did, and it was ridiculous. They did it just in time, and it was ridiculous. They want people to buy more Amazon stuff, more Walmart stuff, all well and good, but we want our local mom and pop shops. We want to go to our local theaters that are being supported by either AMC or some independent theater, wherever you go in the city. Depends on where you go in the city. Where I live, we have AMC, I think it was, or Regal Park or Regal something it's called. That's a new thing going on. So
something like that.
Yeah.
The thing is, before I moved from Long Island, theaters were dying left and right. I mean, the Valley's. Well, me anyway.
The Valley Stream got shut down. The Valley Stream Theater got shut down.
Yeah, and that was a big theater. And then the one in Lynbrook on Merrick Road, that got destroyed.
That sucks.
So if we lived in stream, the only choices we had is the AMC and
Wait,
Rockwell
wait, wait,
Center still work.
wait. Limbrook just rebuilt the theater. You forgot about that, right?
Oh no, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I can send you a picture of it when I'm in Limbrook one day this year, and if they still open, which I doubt it, but if they're gonna reopen themselves, I can send a picture to you of the theater. It's much bigger than the one where we saw with before construction, where they tore it
Oh,
down.
okay.
So that was a good. It looks like a good theater to go to on the outside. They
Yeah,
painted it, they rebuilt it.
I never got to go to it, so that's good.
Yeah, things
But
have
like all the
changed.
theaters in Valley Stream were torn down,
Yeah, but
and what about AMC and Rockwell Center? Is that still
I'm not sure
was
about
that ever
there.
taken?
I haven't been there in years, Rockville Center.
Okay, and when I saw movies like Ted 2 and like Dumb and Dumber 20 years later, I think that was in Franklin Square. So,
Okay.
which was still good.
Yeah.
So, but you know, but the thing is, unfortunately, we have to do what we can, and if we, it's better than nothing. It's better than sitting just dwelling on how bad the situation is.
You got a point.
I mean, that's the whole reason I bought a lot of DVDs when I first came down here. Should anything happen, as long as the electricity is still on, but like say my cable goes out for whatever reason, I can watch Beavis and Butthead. I can watch one of the Resident Evil movies. I can watch wrestling DVD.
Yeah, I had a big collection of wrestling pay-per-view DVDs, but I threw them all out by
He
mistake.
threw them out. Why?
Either let's just say that I kind of I wanted to burn them. Remember I told you I wanted to burn them at your house that you had a backyard, but we couldn't do that because of the law. It was law related matters. Like I try to find like every lawyer or any. Well, I contacted Valley Stream government offices, and I explained the situation for the state park reasons. I want to go do it at the state park. They told me that will cause like some form of law violation, and I talked to them that it's a controlled environment because I have a fire hydrant and water. I have a camcorder, so you'll see everything happening in not real time, but pretty much after the fact you'll see everything that I did. But I need like one other person, which was you, to do the burning at least. But they told me that I couldn't do it. So hang up on me and everything else. I couldn't do much about it. But that's how because I want to send a message.
Were these VHS tapes or DVDs?
DVDs.
Oh man, if I knew, I would have bought them from you.
Yeah.
I do remember. I do remember in 2015 you were saying this, but the thing is, like, you didn't even want to sell the DVDs on eBay. You just wanted to burn them to show your contempt for WWF,
Like
WWE.
Like the Nike thing with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah, but I mean, actually, I got a bunch of WWF DVDs right near me. I also have a couple TNA ones.
Yeah, keep on to those because the ones I have, I want to say that they're like super like valuable, but
Right.
after a while, I would say decades upon decades from now, they could be rare. But I made a mistake of not keeping on to them. You know, it sucks. I had like pay per views from like 2003 and 2015 Payback. Well, I rebought the Payback 2015 where John Cena was going up against Russo in a I Quit match. So
You mean Rusev?
yeah, Rusev. Yes, Rusev. Sorry, the Russian guy.
Yeah. Imagine the movie. Imagine the match: John Cena versus Vince Russo. But
That'll be an
anyway,
interesting match.
I just went in my DVD cabinet. These are the DVDs I have of WWE matches. I got WrestleMania 21,
Okay.
WrestleMania 26,
Hmm.
No Way Out 2008, One Night Stand Extreme Rules 2008, Judgment Day 2008, Dawn of the Attitude Era, Backlash 2008, and 30 Years of Survivor Series.
Nice.
I also have, I'm looking at my videotapes right now. Do you remember the tapes I showed you of like Stone Cold and like in 1998 and 1999?
Against Dude Love,
Um,
yeah.
well, yeah, like when he was facing Dude Love and then he had to defend the title against Kane, and like he covered and the tapes covered their career around that time.
Yeah, and Austin was like shirtless with Jim Ross and stuff like that. And I said that Jim Ross should be shirtless too and shit like that. And we're doing all
Okay, I
this
don't
weird.
remember that, but
I was crazy to say that.
but the thing is, like I got those tapes still. But I don't remember. I don't want to go over there and read them.
I wish I was a wrestler back 15 years ago, but now it's like now it's hard to tell if I can make it right now. It's like I don't
Yeah.
have the discipline as I used to.
But the thing is, also on VHS tapes, besides the ones that are in my closet, I also got like Austin 316 Uncensored, Hell Yeah, I got The Rock, Know Your Wall, and then I have a few different wrestling events, like Raw before Valentine's Day Massacre on tape.
Oh yeah,
I
that
got
was a
the
good one I heard.
I got the one after In Your House Ground Zero.
Yeah, it's good to have the in your house pay-per-views.
And I got WrestleMania 12 on VHS tape. So like if I can only watch like DVDs and Blu-rays, I got options basically is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're pretty much like in a position where if the internet ever shuts down in your neighborhood or in your household, you're pretty much something like I Am Legend, where there's power in the area, but there's no internet or find ways to do streaming. So you're pretty much by yourself in that position, watching Shrek moves over and over, and he makes fun of it.
Yeah,
Something like that.
And the thing is, like, I got like one of those old wooden video cabinets. It's got like 3 shelves, and then like the 3 shelves on the door, and like it's half full. And my mom's got one in the hallway near the living room, and that's like overpacked with movies.
Okay. I also watched.
And the funny thing is, like, the cable went out not too long ago, so we were getting a DVD to watch, and my mom picked Die Hard 2 because I was just reading the titles, and
Yeah, I saw Die Hard 2 last year. I saw that last year.
Die Hard 2 was still in the plastic wrap.
Hell, if you still have internet access, you can watch it online on a certain website.
Well, we didn't have internet access because like cable goes through the internet, so like cable was down, internet was down.
Oh, that wasn't good.
The landline wasn't working because, like it was like the middle of the night, and a cable company, sometimes they have to do a reset.
Okay.
And they do it in the middle of the night because most people are going to be asleep.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, if you're awake for that time, you can't really watch any TV. It's all VHS and DVDs. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. Also, on Facebook, there was this video called Top 11 PlayStation Games That Deserve a Remake. Did you see the video?
No. I never heard of it till now.
Okay, well, sometimes I see these videos from PlayStation Memories on my Facebook. I don't know why, but I do end up watching them. I'm gonna go over the list of these PlayStation games that deserve a remake, and I want your opinion on them.
Okay.
Okay. This poll got like 8,000 votes. So these are the 11 that got the most choices. Number 11 was a game with 100 votes, was called Sheepdog Wolf. Have you ever heard of that game?
I never heard of that at all. All these weird games, they must be from Japan, right?
I don't know. It looked like it would. I have no idea what that game is. I'm gonna might as well Google it. But no, it didn't look like it. Sheepdog Wolf PlayStation.
Sheepdog Wolf.
Sheepdog and Wolf. It's a puzzle platformer. The game is based on the Warner Brothers series of cartoons featuring Sam Sheepdog and Ralph Wolf. So it's basically like a Looney Tunes game. Have you? But yeah, I've never heard of this game.
Maybe it was Was it one of those?
Number 11.
One of those.
That was number 11.
Okay, what was it? One of those old cartoons from the 50s or 60s beforehand?
I don't know. I'm just reading the. Let's see, Wikipedia. It doesn't say. It doesn't give a year for when the cartoon came out.
Okay.
Anyway, number 10 that got 150 votes was Sheepdog Wolf 2.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I'll have to say.
The real game that got number 10 with 150 votes was Final Fantasy VIII.
Which that's available on the Xbox One for Game Pass.
Oh, really? Final Fantasy VIII's available through Game Pass?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. But could you imagine a remake like Final Fantasy VII got for Final Fantasy VIII?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if Final Fantasy VIII is... I can buy that through Xbox One.
You should be able to buy it for like $15-$20.
I'll have to look it up when we sometime later tonight. Number 9 with 200 votes was the game we already covered called Die Hard Trilogy.
Okay.
Number 8 was with also 200 votes was a game called Hogs of War.
That sounds, I wasn't familiar, but it sounds like, a movie I watched from the 2000s.
It sounds like a spoof of God of War. Hogs of War is a turn-based tactics artillery game developed by Infogrames Sheffield House and published by Infogrames. Okay, and I think it only came out it came out in North America.
Okay.
It only came out on Windows in Europe. So, if you played it on PlayStation, you could do so in the United States or Europe, but if you want to play on Windows, you can only play it in Europe. Okay, so that was that. Number 7, let's see, 11, 10, 9, 8. Yeah, number 7 is one of my favorite PlayStation games with 220 votes, Tekken 3.
Oh, yeah, that's got to have a remake. That I have to say, I played lots of Tekken 3 when I was a kid, and I never had an actual, friend necessarily constantly at my house to play with each other. But I play a lot of the, try to practice everything with Lin Chao Yu and Horeng, because those were the new characters at the time in Tekken 3.
And I forget, didn't Tekken 3 have, and I think Tekken 4 also, didn't they have a Tekken Force mode, which turned Tekken into an adventure game?
It's like one of those beat 'em ups, yeah. Tekken Force was like a beat 'em up game, yeah.
But didn't Tekken 3 also have something like that?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so Tekken 3, I would definitely be interested in a remake.
And Tekken 4 had a better Tekken Force mode. It was like it was slightly better, I have to say. So yeah, definitely get a remake for Tekken 3 as well. So.
Number 6 was with 240 votes. Toy Story 2: Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue.
I never got into that.
You never played that?
I never got into it.
I never played. My younger brother had it, but I ended up never playing it. And I ended up selling it before I did try it out.
Okay.
I do like the Toy Story 3 game that came out. Did you ever play the one that came out for Xbox One?
Nope. I think I'm too young for that shit.
Game with gold.
I got it for free at one point. Was it free back? What year it came out?
Let me check.
Because I've been collecting free games with gold since 2015, if not 2014. So.
Toy Story 3 video game. Came out June 2010, but I don't know when it came out on Gold.
Okay.
Games. Let me see. Games with Gold. Let's see if I can find out when it was released. It says. Let's see. December of 2019. It came out on Games with Gold.
2000 what?
December of 2019.
Okay, so I must have collected it as a free with gold at one point.
Yeah, I never played Toy Story 2, and I heard Toy Story 4 was pretty bad.
Okay.
But Toy Story 3 was actually pretty fun. I played it on the PSP through an emulator, and it's pretty fun. And Toy Story 3 on Xbox isn't so bad either. The levels are different than what I remember from the PSP version.
Okay.
So that they're a little confusing. But other than that, the game is pretty fun if you like games where you have to, games where you have to find your way out of something or find your way through something, and you can look up and you can get a hint if you're stumped. So I can't comment on Toy Story 2, but if Toy Story 3 is any indication, why not?
Okay.
Number 5 was Disney's Hercules with 270 votes.
Yeah, I heard that was a good movie as well. So.
Yeah, but didn't Hercules video game wasn't that made by Titus?
I'm not sure.
Let me see.
There was a 1997 movie that I remember.
Okay. It wasn't made by Titus. So, oh, that's right. They never actually made never actually made the Hercules game. That was just a rumor. Titus is the people who made Superman 64 as one of
that fucker.
And before Superman 64, they made Xena Warrior Princess on PlayStation.
Okay.
And I heard that was awful also. So, but Disney's Hercules was next. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. How many games are left on this? Yeah. Okay. 4 more games. Number 4, with 400 votes, was Dino Crisis.
Oh yeah, I got it on PS1 and Dreamcast.
Did you like the Dino Crisis series, or?
It was pretty good. The first Dino Crisis I played. I should get Dino Crisis 2 as well, but for the Dreamcast, it was one of the good experiences I had as a kid. Even though I was too young to see the blood and violence, but still, it was like it took me a while to memorize and to puzzle, because there was a lot of puzzles and memorization to do in the game as you progress.
It was Resident Evil with dinosaurs, basically.
And also with your puzzles, so yeah.
Okay, I never actually played the Dino Crisis games. That's a series I missed out on.
Yeah, it was good of its time. And if I want to, I can record it online with you guys sometime this year, next year, if I ever get a chance to. I have a copy of PS1, so.
You should do sample gameplay of it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Number three with 650 votes was Legacy of Kain: Soul Reaver. Did you ever play that?
Soul Reaver? I heard it was that good, the Soul Reaver series. PS1.
Okay.
The PS1 time, the one I played as a demo, it was a little confusing because the demo version showed like no direction how to get to where you have to get to. So I kind of got stuck in the water, and that's about it.
Okay. Number two was Metal Gear Solid with 1,000 votes.
Metal Gear Solid, nice.
Yeah, and they're making a remake of that, aren't they?
Yeah, we talked about it back about 3 months ago with the remake for PS5.
We were saying, but if they make a remake, they got to bring back the original actors.
Of course, yeah, Dave Hayter and Liquid Snake,
James Flinders. I think that was his name.
Let's hope they didn't age their voice didn't age too much.
Yeah, but even if it did with computers, they could take care of that.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, but I mean that. Then again, it's Konami who owns it, so who knows?
Because Konami, I heard, they're going through a big decrease or downsizement because they got rid of like how many departments over that makes video games, and they sticking with regular pachinko machine making. That's about it. And that's the only thing I heard about. And they got to worry about Konami's horrible working conditions. Like they have some like gulag, Hitler-like, Nazi-like type of work environment. Because if you made a mistake or if you go on coffee break or some shit like that, you would be penalized and be subjected to like scrutiny.
Oh wow!
It was something like that. That's how bad the workplace was.
Well, we'll talk about Konami in a minute. I just want to finish this list.
Right.
The number one game that got 1,200 votes was Siphon Filter.
Yes, it has to be a trilogy remake. They have to turn into a trilogy remake. Siphon Filter 1, 2, and 3.
I think you played through Siphon Filter all the way through.
Yep, it took me 2 years to do it. That's how much free time I had was just enough to play other games and attending school at the same time. So
yeah, so I mean Siphon Filter. I've only played the first game, but even I have to say that would be a remake worth checking out if they ever did remake Siphon Filter.
They have to remake the trilogy, the first 3 games, because after. Yeah. By the time when Omega Strain came out, it was kind of weird gameplay. I'm not sure about the story, but the gameplay was weird. It's stupid. And then there's also Logan Shadow, and there was just the last one. There should be another one that came out before then for PSP, if I recall correctly. Or Logan Shadow came out for PSP.
Logan Shadow came out for PSP, that I remember.
Okay, so and since they started making Siphon Filter games. Because the company, I think it's 989 Studios, that went out of business, I think it was. So, if I recall correctly. So, I don't know what they tried to do with Logan Shadow, what they did with the story. But the first 3 Siphon Filters is a must-have for any new and old fan of the game. Yeah. Because I have all 3 Siphon Filters for the PS2. I mean, for PS1.
Yeah, so definitely, I haven't played that much of the first Siphon Filter, but that's the only one I've actually checked out.
Siphon Filter 2 is crazy. That's the climax.
I definitely like what little I experienced of it.
Okay, because I borrowed it from Blockbuster many years ago, and we were playing it as a group, and we were having a hard time trying to beat the guys in full body armor in one of the levels. That's how challenging that's gotten. It was like, and then fucking Gabe Logan said during the level, he's like, these guys I can't hit. They're in full body armor. And then Teresa's like, oh, and over the telecommunications with the radio saying, oh, that's bad. That's not right. and then when you first started, fucking guys in full body armor were called. They said, "Get the doors open now!" And I started shooting them with the chemicals in the table, and it blew up and killed the first guy. That's what I like about that. You used the chemicals in the lab to kill one of them at a time.
Awesome.
That was good back then. They made a decent game. Siphon Filter 3, now, I'm not saying that they didn't do a bad job with Siphon Filter 3. You have to play the first 2 and understand what's going on in the third game. Because they were reviewing Teresa, the African guy that helped out the guys in Siphon Filter 2. Then there's Gregor. I think Gregorov was part of the third one somehow, some way. He was in Siphon Filter 2 mainly. So Gabe Logan, Leon, Zing, they all were in Congress or in the Senate hearings in Capitol Hill, talking about what happened back in the past. And then when it comes to Eric Romer and his plantation, his labs, basically, if you want to have a good experience with Siphon Filter 3, you must play the first 2. You have to in order to understand the goodness of the game. So
Okay. But
my
you brought
perspective.
it up. You brought it up. I want to talk about this. I've heard about this for like years ago about Konami basically wanting to make they wanted like Pro Evolution Soccer to be the only series, and the rest is just pachinko machines.
Yeah, that's what I heard from either Angry Joe or some other source on the internet. So
Yeah. So and then like they gave us Metal Gear Survive, which was
that was the
bad.
most horrible experience I ever had. The first hour or two was all right because they talk about God and power and shit like that. Because the black guy was saying we must go through the shadow of valley of death because these gods among us we have to go through, or whatever he was saying. I'm paraphrasing, but it was some shit like that. It was like, okay, they got my eye, they got my ears and eyes on the game. But by the time I played the gameplay of it, after they told about what to do throughout the first, after the second hour, because obviously once they get to the second hour of the game, yeah, they tell you what to do for the next how many hours. Because you got to do the same thing over and over. Collect food, water, keep killing zombies. Collect food, water, kill zombies. It was getting repetitive, you know.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, but I mean, Konami now, like you said, that they let a bunch of people who worked in the video game developing part of the company go.
Yeah, most of the departments were downsized, but they got rid of the departments, which is kind of
Well,
strange though. They need those departments to make the games of like in a caliber of Metal Gear Solid 5. You know, so how can they do that with only one department?
well, I mean, they put all their money in, they put all their belief into pachinko machines, thinking that was going to make them rich.
In
I
Japan,
mean,
yes.
that's kind of that's and I mean, it's kind of like, they should have known better, because like me and you wouldn't have made that decision if we were in charge of Konami.
Yeah, I would fix up the working conditions if I was a new manager or a new owner of the company. I'd be like,
Yeah,
okay,
but
you bitches, get the fuck out of my human resource department.
yeah, but the thing is, working conditions unfortunately exist at every job. When I got fired from Sloman's in 2017, Cablevision wanted me to come over and be a telemarketer for them, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to work for Cablevision,"
Why not?
because a lot of telemarketers that got fired from Cablevision came over to Sloman's because we were so close, because the locations were so close. And I heard horror stories from Cablevision, like say you were telemarketing in Cablevision, and like you went 3 hours and you didn't get like any leads or something. The manager would come up to you and be like, "Why aren't you getting any leads? You've been here for 3 hours. What's wrong with you?"
Wow, the balls of those guys.
Yeah, so I got fired from Sloman's, and Cablevision wanted me to come. I was like, "There's no way I'm even interviewing for Cablevision."
Oh, you gotta work at McDonald's and flip burgers or make sandwiches like I did.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, also, I've telemarketed. If you add up all the places I've worked, I've I've worked in telemarketing for 8 years across like three different places. Um, Even it doesn't matter how hot you are or how much of a role you're on. You're gonna have days where you get nothing.
Of course.
It's just gonna happen. And the thing is, you know, if someone even if they were a manager, they came up to me and they got aggressive like that, I'd probably get back in their face and be like, "Hey, douchebag, if you're a manager because you started as a telemarketer, you know how hard this is and how some days you're gonna get nothing no matter how hard you try. If you don't know, if you just got handed this job as manager, why don't you get on the phones and see what it's like for once?" And
Yeah,
then I probably would have been, and then I probably would have been fired.
the telemarketers for the last 20 years now. You know, people are not interested with telemarketers because of
Yeah,
scams and shit like that.
I mean, it's not so bad. Basically, there are ways to get like people who are interested, depending on what you're selling. Um, like I said, I didn't have such a problem with Sloman's until like the last month I was there.
Right.
They would give me numbers and the phone numbers, and like someone I was friends with most of the telemarketers in the company. Someone would like be bringing up a lead, someone who agreed to an appointment to like the office, and I'd be like, I haven't even reached anyone on the phone yet.
Hmm.
All the phone answers have either been voicemail or disconnected, and they were basically giving me bad numbers because the manager didn't like me. I didn't like him either, so
I lose.
yeah. And turns out 10 months after he fired me, the telemarketing division shut down completely. So so I guess I was just one of the rats early off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
I just left the sinking ship earlier than the others.
Sounds like something I went through it in the fast food industry. Pretty much, they want you to work hard, work long, be fast. If the customer doesn't know what they want on their food, you have to play the upselling part. And you know what's funny? This guy, the owner named Shane, I will not give out his last name, but Shane basically told me like, "Hey Charles, why are you taking so long with this customer? Because the customer doesn't know what he wants. He's still decide I'm upselling him and stuff like that." So he knew that I quit my Boston Market job for him, but he got rid of me not even 2 weeks after working for him because I didn't follow his rules, or I didn't meet the standards of making sandwiches and stuff like that. It was ridiculous. I couldn't trust work managers and owners, because now it's like that Boston Market job was dishwashing. I could do that all day if I want to, but for the Subway job, I was like, that's my main shtick at the time, because I was doing better with Subway than Boston Market and overall. But with Boston Market, they put me on dishes. I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'll do dishes for a while. And all of a sudden, I went to Subway for a second job, and I told them, like, I have another job. I'm paying bills for my student loans, so I need that second job. But they told me that we need full-time workers after a certain amount of time, or whatever the Shane guy was telling me at Subway sandwiches. So I was like, okay. I told him, like, give me a couple of weeks or so, and I'll see what I can do with this job. And I quit my job on the spot. Well, not literally on the spot, but like a day before. I told the manager this was my last day because I have another job to attend to. And then all of a sudden, Shane knows about my situation. He used my limitations as a worker for Subway of his shop, and just quit. Maybe not quit, but maybe fired. He fired me. I told Shane, like, don't do that to me. Why are you doing this to me? He grabbed my backpack from the back, telling me to get out of my store. I told him to his face and looked him straight in the eye. Shane, I understand it's your place. I'm not hurting you. I'm not hurting your business. I'm just doing my job to pay off bills, and you're ruining my life almost, in a sense, because I need a job back then. It was 2007, so I wasn't on disability or any form of benefits, and on disability and food stamps, stuff like that. So I was working straight from work to earn, to pay for my bills, to pay for my student loans, to pay for my transportation. Because without a job, I was screwed, and my aunt and my mom could only do so much for me back then.
Right.
It was ridiculous. The working conditions got worse now, or the working experience got worse now because of COVID-19. You need to wear a mask. If you disobey certain things, they'll fire you within a matter of a short period of time. But here's the screwed up part. If they fire you on the spot, you cannot still work there. But if you quit the job right away, that's a bad on your part. You be considered a bad worker. So if you gave them a 2-week notice, or a week notice at least, then you're considered to be in the green zone in most of these workplaces. Doesn't matter what job it is. But if you quit on the spot, then you're like, oh, you're a disloyal worker. That's what I found out in the end. I was a disloyal worker to most of my employers. They badmouthed me. And Ron Fez, Ron Fez of the radio show told this stuff back in the same year, saying that 7, if not 8 out of 10 of your employers you work for badmouth you in your future employment if you give them as past work experience or references.
That's why you got to be careful with who you choose as a reference.
But I tell them these managers or owners or supervisors, hey, can I use as a reference? I'll give you a call every so often to see if it's all right to still keep it as reference. And 15 years later, I talked to my catering job of for a few days, named Mr. Steve. Just call him Steve for now. He has a catering business somewhere in Long Island. I'm not going to give out the exact location. I worked for him. I made mistakes on the job, and I wasn't worthy of that job. So we both agreed that this job is not worth for me. But he gave me reference. And he remembered me after 5 years ago. I mean, not 5 years ago. Five years later after that events. But then after 20 what 13, 14, 15, I called around 2018 or 19, and he explained to me that I don't know who you are. I never worked with you. He forgot about me. I don't know what happened, but I'm being betrayed left and right by these people. I thought that we have a business or a network, and then all of a sudden they either just say that I'm a horrible worker, or they hang up on me. I mentioned this guy named Anthony in my other video. The fucker, not fucker. I mean, I'm not sure. That's not sure I should insult him, but he hang on me every time I try to talk to him. Like, hey, Anthony, I'm your man. You're my manager at Subway and somewhere in Long Island again. That's another location. He said, "Oh, we will." He hanged up on me like right away after I said my name, Charles Doctor. That's my full name, by the way. You know, these. If any younger generation out there listening to this in the future, be aware of who you're associated with, because they will turn your back on you in an instant or in years without notice. And you be wondering to yourself why you're not getting jobs anymore or opportunities anymore. It's ridiculous, James.
Yeah, I agree. That's why if I had a bad experience at a job, I never use someone as a reference.
Yeah, I never used Shane as a reference either.
The only exception to that rule is when I worked for a lawyer and I chose to leave, and I didn't give him notice. But the thing is, I don't think he held it against me, because at the time I was still at 2008, so I was 20. My birthday hadn't happened yet, so I guess he kind of looked at me like I'm young. I still got a lot of experience. And the thing is, that lawyer helped me out a few years later in the future, and I've always kept him as a reference. But if I had a bad experience with a boss that I didn't like or didn't get along with, I never used them as a reference.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I used Sloman's as a reference trying to get a job, what happened was when it said put your manager's name, I would put the name of a manager I was cool with instead of the Yahoo that ran the telemarketing division into the ground.
Yeah.
Until I found out that the telemarketing division was over, and my former manager contacted me on LinkedIn, which I never used, and it shows not only the person's name but their job title, and I saw my manager had a completely different job title than he did at Sloman's. I was like, wow, Sloman's, a lot of people got let go.
Yeah, this sucks.
If even telemarketing managers had to find new jobs. But they put this Yahoo who knew nothing about telemarketing in charge, and I didn't really get along with them, because what happened was I was working downstairs for this guy, and I asked to be transferred back to the upstairs office, because if I worked upstairs, I'd be working under a different manager, and that's also where I started. And I was only getting one lead a week downstairs. So he said he was fine with it. I got transferred upstairs. Upstairs, the first week, I didn't really make any leads, or I made one lead.
Okay.
The first week. The second week, I made 4 leads. I got back in the rotation. I was getting phone numbers that were decent. So I made 4 leads the second week. The next thing, and after that second week concluded, the upstairs manager was fired. Everyone was brought back downstairs.
Oh, man.
And the thing is, Lenny, who was the upstairs manager, I probably shouldn't use his name, but he was basically on the screen, when you called numbers, you would have to click what happened? The number answered? Did they actually call back? Was the number disconnected? Was it busy? Was it not interested? And managers could see, how many times you selected each option. And the upstairs manager went to a different manager, and he said this while standing behind me. I'll never forget it. He goes, quote, "True, James does make over 400 calls a night, but when more than 250 of the phone numbers are disconnected, I really can't get mad at him." End quote.
You're persistent, I see.
So yeah, but the thing is, when more than half the numbers you give me are disconnected, how how am I going to you're not even giving me a chance to do a good job for you? And I knew that was going to get fixed if I was upstairs. I didn't know that the downstairs manager was going to have his panties in a bunch.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the downstairs manager was awful. Let's do a little bit of job bashing. The downstairs manager, he had this brilliant idea of only hiring 17 to 19-year-olds because he said they would if he hires someone in high school or right after high school, if Sloman's is their first job, they'll build a career. They want to, they'll stay here for years. Okay, well, if you only hire 17 to 19-year-olds because of their age, that's age discrimination.
Wow.
And the thing is, these people really cared about jobs because 3 weeks after this thing of this rule of only hiring 17 and 19-year-olds, all those kids were gone anyway.
Gotta find loyalty.
3 weeks later.
Not even, I bet.
No, 3 weeks. It was exactly 3 weeks from when he started hiring all these high school kids. They were gone because no 17 to 19-year-old is interested in building a career. They want some money to hang out with their friends on the weekends. That's it.
Some of them will stay for 6 months at best, like I did when I was 17. College and all.
But the thing is, even me, I didn't go. Growing up, at least after high school, was kind of bad, money-wise. I didn't care about building a career at 19. I just wanted a job where I could make some money. I wasn't thinking, oh, this is going to turn into a great career. There was no, this is enough so I can bring home a paycheck every week.
And pay off your bills, especially student loans, or pay off your phone, or pay off your transportation.
Yeah, pay for transportation, pay for food. I didn't have bills at the time because 19, I was still living at home. I was still searching for my first job. And I ended up paying for college, which was a waste of money. But it's just like I just think about the job of Sloman's, and just like this, I don't know how this manager became a manager because he's doing things that no manager who had knowledge would do. Like another thing, he was he would give bonuses to people who brought in appointments. So people would write fake appointments that weren't even worth the paper they were written on, and they'd get bonuses like $5 an appointment or whatever. And 2 weeks later, business is worse than it was. Why? Because you took all these fake appointments that weren't worth the paper they're written on. But this guy didn't have that kind of forward thinking to know what problems would arise in the future from that.
Yeah, no one doesn't want to see the bigger picture after a while. They just think about the here and now, making money for the very moment, and if you don't make that money, or if you're fighting with the manager, even if you're not, you tell them you do your best, and they'll say to you oh, well, we're just gotta let you go, It's like in any office, pretty much.
Anyway.
Because when I was in the office field, I was working for one of these online marketing agencies. You want to call it like that? I was a scanner to scan magazines and clothing material. It was weird the way we were doing stuff in that department. And I had to give it to the archive manager every day. At the end of the day, what I did, that type of stuff. So it was pretty. The job was it was easy. After a while, I'll keep doing it over and over. You're doing the job over and over, and that's fine by me. But I
Right.
made mistakes as far as a worker. I kind of like was being bombastic in my not my not everyone in the email, but with the way I showed things about myself to other people, that's when it started to get a little rocky with me in the last week or so, or what I did by mistake. So don't put politics in the workplace, kids. That's all I have to say. So
Yeah. Anyway, so Konami, basically we knew things were bad when they said they were going to put all their focus on pachinko machines and the Pro Evolution Soccer series. Also, since we're talking about companies, Microsoft tried pulling a fast one,
yeah, I heard about it.
raising the price of games with gold, and
$120 a year.
$120 a year for 12 months as opposed to 60. And the thing is, do you want to talk about this? Because I didn't even know what happened until Xbox went back on what they were planning.
Well, we should talk about the whole thing to whoever's out there, because there are some younger audiences out there that might hear this in the future and want to get their new Xbox game, whether it's a Series X or the system after that. How many years later Xbox going to increase the price even further? So, as a consumer, we should, as consumers, not gamers too, but as consumers, have a right to serve and a right to be informed of when and where these prices will start to increase or decrease. And after a while, it kept increasing, especially during COVID. So it's like, who are they really fooling? Because these consumers, whether they're Xbox gamers or just gamers in general, or they're parents of these gamers, you can't screw with your base, your consumer base or customer base, or even your gamers base. You just can't. And now, if they changed it to say that, oh, you get the ultimate edition or the ultimate service for $120,
Ultimate.
which is both the subscription and the Game Pass together, I want to spend
Right.
$120 rather than the
But
original price of $200.
some people just can't afford it because, it wouldn't be so bad if it was if it was $15 a month. Some people, that would be a lot easier to pay than $180 up front.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
well, the original price for the ultimate is $200 a year, and
Yeah, but okay, so $200 a year, pay $200 up front. What I'm saying, it'd be a lot easier if you could just pay month by month. But
well,
month
most
by
people.
month, I bet is more expensive in the end.
But if you pay it monthly, after a while, you tend to spend more and within a year than buying the yearly subscription.
Right. But I'm just saying, also $200. I mean, 60 is a lot more affordable, even in times like now, as opposed to 200.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. They want to separate all these services from Xbox subscription to the Game Pass to cloud gaming to OneDrive and email services. It's ridiculous. Even Microsoft Office, they're really not trying to milk people during this time, and have been for many years. But now is not the time to be greedy, Microsoft. So Phil Spencer,
Yeah.
Major Nelson, how dare you? You should slap fucking Bill Gates in the face with an Xbox, tell him stop fucking with the customer, excuse my language, and if not, then I'm not gonna take your vaccine. Get the hell out of here, Bill.
I
Because
don't know what Bill Gates has to do with vaccines.
because Bill Gates for the last 20 years has been involved with the Africa countries of distributing vaccines to them, like mumps and yellow fever and malaria and other diseases. So, and Bill Gates has been bringing that to the United States as well with the vaccination, especially with COVID-19. So that's why I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to take his vaccine if he's going to be a greedy motherfucker, because I don't know what's in the vaccine to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to take the vaccine either because when it comes speaking about COVID, I have asthma, so the vaccine would probably do a lot more damage than it would be beneficial to me. So I'm going to be one of the people who don't take the vaccine until you pin me down and inject it. But the thing is, Xbox, back to their business, they did something like this in 2013 when they were talking about the brand new Xbox One. When they were saying I don't know if you remember when they said all games were going to have DRM. Your Xbox would have to be able to connect online every 24 hours or it'd become a brick.
Yeah, that was stupid.
And 3 days later, enough people had left in droves to where Microsoft was like, okay, we changed our mind. The games don't have DRM. Your console doesn't have to connect every 24 hours. And it's just like, that's the great thing about Sony and Nintendo being around. If Microsoft becomes so dumb, you can jump over to Sony and support them instead. And that's what keeps Microsoft in check. I heard when Microsoft started doing this price hike during a pandemic, which is the dumbest time to do a price hike, people were canceling the Xbox Live subscriptions.
Yeah, and I'm one of those too. Going to be soon.
And it took no more than a day for Microsoft to backpedal on this decision. And I'm like, it's just like you're making decisions that don't even sound good when they're first mentioned. I mean, for crying out loud, when you released the Xbox Series S and X, you allowed people to pay $25 to $35 a month over the course of 2 years to buy those consoles because you knew people couldn't afford it up front. Why now, just a couple of months later, you want to increase the price of Xbox games with gold?
Or the subscription to gold with the games with gold feature.
Yeah,
only that.
You want to increase the price. You want to increase the prices of that. And the thing is, again, Game Pass, there are definitely like a dozen games I would play if I had Game Pass, but it just wouldn't be worth it to me because since January, I found a lot more work as a writer than I was finding in the previous months of the pandemic. That's why I haven't streamed that much or made too many videos.
Schoolwork for me.
But the thing is, so Game Pass, I would almost have to like sacrifice work to get my money's worth if I was paying for the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate thing, and it just wouldn't be worth it. And the thing is, no, I mean, I don't get money for playing Xbox. I get money for being a writer. I mean,
yeah, it's very weird for Microsoft, and hopefully Sony won't pull that move ever again in the future because they can learn from a lot about Microsoft's mistake with Xbox One generation. And
well, I mean, if you remember, Sony at the time when Microsoft made that announcement, Sony was basically poking fun at Microsoft. So Sony had their press conference in 2013 after Microsoft, and Sony was like, "Don't worry, you'll be able to trade games with friends. You don't have to connect online every 24 hours. You'll be able to sell your games back to Gamestop when you're done with them."
And they showed a commercial about them physically trading games from one person to another person. And that was a 15-second commercial. And it was so simple, but yet so funny, yet so intriguing that you know that you want to get the PS4. But I got my first Xbox One with my mom, so.
Even with Xbox 360, which doesn't work anymore at all, unfortunately.
Okay.
I was gonna jump to PlayStation 4 until Xbox One took down those
DRMs and stuff.
Yeah, until Xbox One went back on those policies. But the thing is, it's just like I see those policies creeping up again, and I'm glad that it took even less time for Microsoft to backtrack.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, Nintendo really with if you I mean let's look at the three consoles for a moment. Nintendo Switch really doesn't have that huge library of games you can play online. Uh, I'm talking about past titles when you compare it to like the Wii U, which is still active. Sony, PlayStation Now, PlayStation Plus, I don't even think they have as many titles available as say Xbox does. And 4 games free per month from Xbox, that's a pretty good deal for $60 a year. Just based on those games alone, that price is worth it.
Yeah.
But if I had to pay like $200 a year, first I'd have to get $200 together. Second,
it's not worth it.
No, it's not, and it's not worth it, especially if I'm working most of the time. I mean, in the last 2 weeks since our last podcast, I streamed 4 times.
Is that a lot?
No, I usually stream back before. I was like streaming like 9, 10 times. It was nothing rare for me not to stream.
Okay.
If I streamed, it was either I was too tired, basically I was too tired, or I was too like depressed to stream, or whatever may be going on.
Right, right.
And now I'm not streaming. It's because I have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they also have to understand too that they have to appeal to older gamers sometimes, because the generation that grew up with PlayStation 1 are now adults. You and I, obviously. Yep. So now they see us they should see us as actual money makers or actual money source of their profits. The Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo, etc., etc. But as of late, for this recent generation, Xbox One especially, since then, they just gave up or ignore us. They're just like, oh, screw you. We're focusing on the Fortnite gamers and the floss dancing with these kids and stuff like that. Whatever they do in the game, things that matter. No Resident Evil ending. I mean, real ending of Resident Evil. No ending of what's that called? Of Monster Hunter or Pokemon or anything like that. Because we grew up on this stuff, but they don't understand. They just don't. And they just keep increasing prices. Now, back in the day with 360, I have to say, $50, that was affordable for the gold membership to play online for a year, every year. Good. Keep it that way for a while. And then they increased it to $60. They're like, okay, we're getting older, we're getting better jobs or better opportunities and more money in our pockets. Okay, $10 more is no big deal. But now, fucking when they did that $120 thing, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not going to spend $120. If they include the Ultimate Edition or the Ultimate version, I will buy $120 a year because that's worth it. It's $80 off, or it's manageable. It's like I can afford that. But they don't understand sales and marketing. They don't.
No, and so it's just it's just a bad decision, and it's like, but also. I understand that they're not catering to us, but they also got to remember, you can cater to like the younger kids, but the younger kids don't have the money.
They have the parents, yes. And
that's another mistake WWE made. Oh, we're going to be marketed towards children. How much merchandise can children really afford?
Unless if they work in the gulag.
Yeah. So. But I'm just glad that Microsoft backtracked, and maybe this will be the last time Microsoft tries to push a policy like that's. I mean, if they want to raise prices, I get it, but A, you don't double the price, and B, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Even more people are losing their jobs over the last week or so. Now's not the time.
Yeah, they should wait another year at least until the price increase. Because by the year from now, things might go back to some kind of normalcy in a sense where you can go to the theaters, you can work from home without too many limitations. Because I guarantee you, yeah.
But if they raise the price, raise it $5, raise it $10, not double it.
It's crazy. They're fucking crazy.
Because the thing is, I hate to say this. I probably shouldn't give Microsoft this information, but I'll say it anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
If they raise it $10, every couple of years or whatever, people will get used to it over time. The thing is, if you raise it, if you double the price, though, people are going to feel that sting right away.
Indeed.
But if you go like $70 in 2021, $80 in 2023, $90 in 2025, maybe not every 2 years, maybe 3-4 years,
or every generation at least.
People would be easing into it.
And there's also jobs available in the market after the pandemic, so then you can increase the price or wait a few months after the normalcy, and then people will have money in their pocket. Because there's 40 million, at least 20 million. I'm not sure about your situation, James, but I'm a part of that 20 to 40 million that will lose their homes. Because we are backlogged on rent, we're backlogged on the phone, internet, and TV. We're backlogged on other services like cell phones, that is. Well, I have a phone from the government. I paid the phone itself, and I got the service from the government. So that's a different story on myself. But we're basically, what I'm trying to say is that once until we lose our homes, that's it. You cannot go outside and just be like, oh, I'm going to get a job and find work. And, there's no jobs around in my neighborhood, or let alone in the city, because everything's shut down. The theaters, Microsoft, Sony, even Nintendo, these guys are detached sometimes from their gamer/consumer base. And we're older. Yeah. It's been 30 years since the first Mario game for Nintendo. It's been 20 years since Crash Bandicoot. It's been for Xbox, Halo, since 20 years now? We're in the 20th anniversary of Halo. So, we got older, us, the gamers at the time, because they know that we will get our parents to buy it or something like that. And that's what was going on. But we got older, like they have to understand, the flow of the cycle of gamers. Like once until we reach our 40s and 50s, most likely we'll stop playing video games because of our hands
I doubt it.
Because my hands are starting to hurt now. I'm starting to have problems with my right hand while playing the thumbstick or the right thumbstick. Like I have
really?
I have carpal tunnel or something like that in my hand from using the mouse and keyboard a lot. Because I used to work at the office a lot doing office work as always. And it did 2 months and back in 2011. That was a mixture of physical work, yeah, so it wasn't affecting my hand as much, but over time, over the years of playing every day, all day long of video games, it gets to you. So basically, we're going to have a newer generation that's going to have problems with their hands because of the game control and stuff like that.
I think that I have to differ. I have to disagree with that because I haven't noticed any problems with my hands, and I use my hands for a lot. Like I said, I'm working. When I'm working, I'm typing articles. So I haven't noticed any problems with my hands. Basically, the biggest problem I have is with my lower back. But so I don't think. But like most of us, I don't think that grew up when we did are gonna be out of gaming anytime soon because. Think about it. I've been exposed to video games since 1989, since I was 2 years old. It's the one thing left from my childhood that's still the same. And I just couldn't imagine all the free time video games I would have, what I would do with all that free time if I didn't have video games. And if you think about it, Review Tech USA has covered some of these stories. Like the lady who plays Skyrim, who's in her 90s.
Oh, the old lady, yeah.
Or the couple that plays Mario Kart 64 every day against one another to see who has to make the tea.
Okay.
They're like in their 70s or 80s.
You got a point, but they started. I think
we're gonna see that. I think we're gonna see that more often. I think we're gonna see people as they get older still playing video games. I still plan to be one of those people. Well, now obviously my reflexes will slow down as I get older, and stuff like that. So, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to slow down to the point where playing video games would be impossible.
It depends on if you get Alzheimer's or Parkinson's
Well,
disease.
Alzheimer's is when is something that happens with the mind, and the thing is, really, video games I feel would be something better, something that could combat it, because like if you're playing a game that requires you to think, okay, what am I gonna do? That makes your brain active. Alzheimer's has been one cause has been people whose brains just they don't use them, their brains go to mush because you heard the saying: if you don't use your muscle, you eventually lose it, and then they just they just stop thinking for so long that Alzheimer's sets in. But they said like one thing to set off Alzheimer's is like crossword puzzles and anything that makes you actually think. Like they
Puzzle
had
games and stuff like that.
Like for the Nintendo DS, they had Brain Age, like games that made you actually think.
Oh yeah, definitely had that for the 3DS especially.
So I mean, and so the games, of course, it also depends on the game. But any game that makes you think, you know, so Alzheimer's, that just really means you've been sitting in front of a screen with but you're not thinking about anything. It's like,
Yeah.
but that's one cause. I'm pretty sure there are other causes too, where even if you use your brain, you still could come down with Alzheimer's. But then again, I haven't met any 30 or 40-year-olds that have had Alzheimer's.
Well, not right this second. I'm saying over time, for the next 10 to 20 years, we might see more cases of hand injuries.
I think it would be even more than that. It's usually when you're in your 70s or 80s.
Well, we started since we were kids playing controllers, and our parents never had that experience of playing video games at a very young age. That's why you see all these 70-year-olds playing them all out of nowhere because of their sons and daughters. But with the sons and daughters, they play this since they were 2, 3, if not 5 years old, like me. And after a while of repetition and wear and tear and other means, I was working hard labor, whatever you want to call it, and and combine that with gaming after working, even though I'm rested and stuff like that, I'm still using my hands. So the injuries popping around, or the pain is starting to develop, even with the vibration of controllers or pain relievers and things that matter. So that's what I'm going through right now. So most likely, I'm one of those gamers that plays as birth every day or as often as possible while working at the time. That sort of wear and tear. So you're not going to be impenetrable from injury or from wear and tear, but it's going to happen eventually with some gamers at least.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, for example, people who play the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast, but I hate the controller. And I remember some people were saying it was like playing on nails after the first hour. Anyway, so we talked about Konami. We never talked about the GameStop stock fiasco.
We did a little bit earlier.
I'll bring up what I've learned about the situation, and then you can comment.
Yeah.
What happened was hedge fund companies, they were betting on the failure of certain companies. They were betting GameStop was going to fail. They were betting AMC was going to fail, and so it's like I said, they bet on these companies to fail, but the company's not going to fail if the stocks are being purchased. And GameStop stock went up, AMC stock went up because people wanted to see these companies saved. And the thing is, well, if these companies don't fail, if these companies don't die or don't suffer, then the hedge fund companies who borrowed these shares on credit that sold them, the original plan was when these stocks went down, they were going to buy them back up. So they had made money from the sale of the stock, and they were still going to have the stock to pay back what they borrowed. But now that people are purchasing these stocks, and these stocks are going up, and hedge fund companies are left to pay what they borrow.
They were
And they
short
don't have,
selling for many, many months, if not years, of
yeah,
GameStop stock and
and
other stocks in the stock market.
yeah. So all these companies that are basically being helped out by people who are purchasing their stock, um, these hedge fund companies are upset that, hey, what we were going to do to make money, we're not going to be able to pay back these that what we borrowed, so we're going to lose money because we don't have these stocks that we could just sell back or whatever. And you know what? And now we got apps like Robinhood, basically not allowing you to buy certain stocks. You can only sell them.
A rigged system indeed.
Google Google has removed all stock trading programs from their platform. And also, basically, it's World War III, but it's everyday investment traders against hedge funds.
Or just your vetted virgin incels versus the top tier billionaires who keep on rigging the market and fucking with us people every day for many years, even after the crisis.
Yeah, so basically, and it's ridiculous. They're trying to limit what we can buy. The government's not helping at all.
They give us money to buy things, but it's still not helping the economy. We still need work.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, it's pretty. It's pretty bad when AOC and Ted Cruz agree on the same thing.
I think I heard about that matter. Yeah.
AOC, at least she claimed to stand up for people who should be allowed to buy whatever stocks they want and shouldn't be prohibited. And Ted Cruz was like completely agree. And then AOC didn't want anything to do with Ted Cruz because she said Ted Cruz tried to have her killed because she's an idiot.
Babylon B made fun of that matter. It turned into like a Jason Voorhees type of matter with Ted Cruz and AOC.
I messaged her on Twitter and told her that she was a moron.
You really did that?
I'll pull up my Twitter. I quoted her tweet and then I put a message to it. I'll pull up my Twitter and tell you exactly what I said in response to AOC.
Then again, I did place Kylo Ren video in Biden's profile or Biden's tweet, one of his tweets, and the Kylo Ren says traitor because Biden's a traitor.
I got it. First I'll read AOC's tweet and then I'll read what I put as a response. AOC said, "I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue when there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out. Happy to work with almost any other GOP that aren't trying to get me killed. In the meantime, if you want to help, you can resign, Ted Cruz." So I said in response to this, "Are you going to leave details on how you were almost quote-unquote murdered?" I go, "Your paranoia is worse than hypochondriacs when they discover they have a cut on their finger."
Jack called her a moron at the end of that tweet.
Yeah, I should have.
or a stupid bitch. Yes, that would be more potent.
Well, that probably would have gotten caught by Twitter, and they probably would have deleted the tweet then.
Yeah, I did call Biden a China dog or China's dog. You SOB asshole, whatever I said in that tweet. And Twitter made me not acknowledge that tweet, saying it was bad and I should never do it again. And I'm like, okay, because I wasn't able to tweet for about half a day at least. So
oh wow,
it sucks.
The only thing besides promoting videos from Tim Pool and the Liberal Hive Mind, I only use Facebook and Twitter when I'm promoting like a video I'm doing or a stream that I'm doing.
Same here with me.
Or when I'm promoting stuff that I'm reselling.
I do a mixture of things like politics, a little bit of economics, but that's not my main shtick anymore.
It's funny, like when I talk to like politicians or like famous people, like I never get a response even if I call them out, because we talked about my problems with Batista on the last podcast.
Definitely.
So on the Capitol-wide issue, I messaged a couple other wrestlers who were basically just talking out of their behinds. One of them was Mustafa Ali, he's had a picture of the Capitol riots, and he's like, if those people storming the Capitol were black or brown, those steps would be painted red with blood, is what he's inferring.
Pretty
and
much.
I responded to him. I said, unless they claim to be Antifa or BLM, then they would have gotten off without even a slap on the wrist.
Good point.
And then Mike Bennett, the Miracle Mike Bennett, Mike Kanellis from WWE, he was talking about the photo op that Trump had in front of a church. And he's like, clearing out protesters so you can take a photo. I go, are you going to, and I asked him, are you going to, when are you going to bring up that the church was defaced and people planned to burn it before Trump took that photo op? And, of course, no response from either of them.
Yeah, there must have a guy like countless tweets from all that nonsense they say on Twitter. So you're like a dime a dozen not to respond back to.
I respond to every single one of them. I even responded to Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
Oh, her? Okay.
I'll pull up my Twitter again.
You're attacking everyone. You're like Hitler all of a sudden.
No, I'm just calling out bullshit when I see it. That's.
I did went after Janet Yellen with an Apex Legends theme type of tweet, and I quoted from an Apex Legends character by the name of Crypto, and he says in the video when I pick him as a character, I'm watching, I'm always watching, and that was the quote I said to Janet Yellen, the Federal Reserve Chairman of right now, as of right now, so. And also,
it's
and a tweet to Biden.
The tweet that I had.
I know that most people don't know who Janet Yellen is, but she's the new head honcho of the Federal Reserve that controls our money supply, and they fucked up the not only the economy, but also their own spreadsheets in the Federal Reserve department. You want to call them the department because they're more as Federal Express. So one at least another, They got rid of the M3 supply or the M3 system that they recorded, but they stopped recording it since 2009 because of the economic crisis, because they didn't want to show all those horrible numbers from the banks that they made deals and interactions with over the decades with the Federal Reserve, because the Federal Reserve was only 100 years old and they're like, it was the new on the block, but they've only been around for as of the last 100 years, obviously. So, it's ridiculous of what's going on with these tweets and Twitter. Twitter's turning into this shouting match. Obviously, I take part in it once in a while, but I only attack the politicians, not some average Joe or SJW. So I don't have time for those people.
I go after everyone.
Why?
I disagree with.
You might get suspended.
Not really.
What's that, James? You're breaking up. You're muffling.
I said, as long as I'm respectful about it, there should be no problem.
If you attack.
Anyway, I found the one. From Anna Kasparian. This was about the Capitol riots. She says, and I quote, "I'm not interested in hearing any of the glib comments minimizing what happened yesterday. A group of armed domestic terrorists broke into the Capitol building while every U.S. lawmaker was trying to do their jobs. Clearly, the cops were unprepared and even encouraged it." End quote. I responded to her. I go, quote, "Please show me the clip where people broke into the Capitol were armed, or better stop making stuff up." End quote.
Well, were they armed? Obviously they weren't, and not all of them were armed.
They weren't armed. They were, for crying out loud, police were taking selfies with the people who entered the Capitol.
Yeah, I forgot about that part too. They were helping the matter.
But the thing is, of all the photos and videos that came out from the Capitol, I didn't see anyone armed.
Well, there has been reports, if you go underground, that is, there have been reports that there are some Antifa members, or at least the instigators. So they'll say something like Trump sucks or some shit like that, or it was something what they're saying, and they have like bombs and shotguns in their cars, in the trunk of their cars and stuff like that. So it's not truthful all the way through, but That's one of the reports. So you got to dig through that matter. So
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, she's saying it like there's just picture after picture of a person who entering the building was armed and threatening death to the senators, and it's like, no, you want to try to push that narrative. I'm going to call you out. I know I'm just some normal Yahoo as far as you're concerned, but I'm still going to call you out. Because if a Yahoo makes you look stupid, what does that do? What does that mean for you?
Yahoo as the company or Yahoo as the expression?
Yahoo as in some person who has no bearing on. Yahoo as some local citizen who doesn't have much outreach.
Oh, okay. Like Yahoo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And anything else to say about the GameStop stock story and AMC, Nokia, also part of those companies? Anything else to say about those companies?
Well, I just want to say that you and I could have been very wealthy, not super wealthy, but we could pay off a lot of bills with that stock if we invested it a month ago, if not 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well,
especially if it's
I mean, once this case ends, maybe we should get some money together, and buy some stock. And the thing is, we just can't like close our eyes and pick a stock with whatever company our finger lands on. We have to research companies and see why they're so low. Do they have anything big planned? Company that we plan to invest in, we have to research basically.
Sometimes we can also listen to Jim Cramer because even though he's a liar on CNBC of his show every day, he'll say, buy this stock, buy that stock, don't buy this, don't buy that. But you know what's funny? When he said don't buy that stock, the stock went up 2 days later after he says it. If the stock went down, he'll say sell it or something like that. Or basically he's telling you at the last minute to buy or sell, or don't buy, don't sell, and it just messes up your portfolio. So basically he's unreliable.
So basically, if you're going to invest in the stock market, just do your research on companies that you plan to invest in, and just know that if you're putting money into it, if you're putting money buying shares, just keep in mind that there's a chance that company could lose your money.
And don't listen to Jim Cramer ever again. Because he fucked up people's money back in the 2008 crisis. Now he's no real financial advisor, but he has financial credentials or with the stock market. So he's not your ordinary person. He's been around for 20 years on CNBC for many years, and I used to not look up to him, but I kind of like, okay, he's a reliable source for my family to make money if they invest in the stock market. But in the end, Don Harold, he's your average internet guy just like you and I are. Don Harold exposes Jim Cramer's pattern of what he wants with his audience / stockholders. So it's like, he's basically, and anyone else that knows Jim Cramer now, he's basically a liar. And you shouldn't listen to him at all. So, but it's ridiculous that that the economy is rigged to some extent. The stock market is definitely rigged, and if you want to move up in the world, you got to kill off the older generation somehow, some way. Not like in a Hitman type of or World War III type of matter, but eventually with age, with time, then we can take over the matter. Because all we have to do is wait on the matter. Because all those 50, 60, 70, if not 80-year-olds that are invested in the stock market, eventually they're going to have a failing health. Or the health is still failing, but they eventually will pass away. Like John McCain, George H.W. Bush, who else? Maybe, who's that new? Maybe Joe Biden might die, Bernie Sanders might die in the next couple of years to 5 years. You never know. It takes time to take over certain things. And if any young guy is out there who's under 21 years old, by God, you came at the right time to take over shit. Now, I'm not saying that us 30-year-olds will not have no position in power or some position of government influence. But, we're like, in the middle of it all, and it's like, we're playing both the new generation style and the old generation style, because we're like the last generation to see wars and aggressions with Yugoslavia, Kosovo, with the revolution and civil war with Nicaragua and stuff like that. We saw this stuff on TV, but the ones under 21 years old never saw any of it, and they think that it's all about puppies, unicorns, and Krispy Kreme all the time. So it's like, you're playing both sides in the matter of you see the bad, but they see the good, in my perspective.
Right. So anyway, the last thing we have on the schedule to discuss is the e-commerce story for the podcast.
Okay.
And I'm gonna start it off by saying I didn't need another reason to stop selling on eBay, but now I have one.
Okay.
What happened was the guy who bought a record from me, who couldn't tell the difference between a regular photo and a stock photo, basically they wouldn't let me buy a shipping label. Because I always say if you want your money back, you have to return whatever you buy. I don't care where you live. You guys ship it back to me if you want a full refund. So what happened was eBay wouldn't let me buy a shipping label to the United Kingdom because it's a foreign country, because I live in the United States, and I told this customer, listen, eBay didn't give me an option to buy a shipping label. You want your money back, you have to return the item, you're gonna have to ship it yourself. He refused to pay for the shipping himself because he said, since I misrepresented the item, I should have to pay for the return shipping.
That's what you mentioned in the last episode.
I'm sorry?
That's what you mentioned in the last episode over 2 weeks ago.
Right. So anyway, I said, listen, eBay's going to make their own decision on like January 25th or whatever it was. If you want them to make the decision, we'll let them make the decision. Well, it turns out this guy, I don't know how he did it, but he got in touch with customer service over the telephone. And he basically told them some lie, and eBay just made a decision right then and there to refund him and not give me anything. I didn't even get a chance to respond to what he claimed.
That's weird.
Yeah. They just said, we're going to be debiting you in 10 days for the amount of what he paid, and I'm not getting the item back. So
and you're not getting no money from it, too.
When they took the $40.50 away from me, they didn't even do it through PayPal. They just made me pay the whole $40.50 myself. Usually, when you do a refund through PayPal will give back the 2.9% that they took from the sale.
The fee, yeah.
They didn't even do that. I had to pay the whole thing.
Man, that sucks.
So basically, this guy is now he's on my personal blacklist. If I ever get a sale from the United Kingdom, I'm going to make sure it's not him before I ship the item in. And if it is him, I'm going to send him an immediate refund and say, buy it somewhere else.
It better be a young adult, like a 21, 18-year-old. Because I understand they think that everything's free, everything's my way. If you don't upload to YouTube on time, I'm not going to subscribe to you anymore. They're very self-entitled. These people online, these kind of kids, and the older you get, the more you see that we're more organized. We take self-responsibility. We see the bullshit the way it is, so we try to adapt to it. So it's not like trying to force everything into the matter, like my way or the highway, to some extent, because people, we work with each other as we get older. You can't just like have your way all the time. You cannot always have your refund all the time. Sometimes you gotta take the loss. I wish I could. Yeah.
But the thing is, I was saying, I wanted the item back, so I knew it was wrecked, because he did send pictures. But the thing is, pictures could be edited.
I mean, you got a point. Oh, of course, with Photoshop.
With Photoshop, yes.
You got a point, yeah. But sometimes you can tell that's not edited or that been Photoshopped, because I'm not saying you're experts or I'm an expert at photo identification or identifying this photo or whatever the case may be to analyze whatever. But sometimes you can tell that the people who say that in sales, that is online with eBay, they'll say that, oh, my game broke and I want my money back, and I'll be like, then show me pictures and I'll see it. And I hope to goodness that they're telling the truth in the photos. And back when in the 2000s, when I first started with eBay, I was selling this game called Fear Effect 2. I was given a praise by the seller because the kid was younger than me. He has to be younger than me. I was like maybe 21, 22 at the time. And, he gave me a good review and stuff, so there was no problems. Even though your problem was different from mine, but in the end, it's like, whatever the situation is, we have to trust each other to some extent, even though we're strangers. So.
But the thing is, I mean, I'll trust you as you're willing to send the game back, because it's like that woman who purchased Fable 3 for me. She said the game didn't work, even though it worked last time I played it. And I'm like, okay, send it back. And she's like, oh, my sister fixed it.
So what's that mean?
Basically, she was claiming that the game didn't work. But when I said, okay, send it back, she didn't want to send the game back.
Especially since it's on file on the internet with
She was basically trying to claim that the game didn't work, and she thought I was gonna say, okay, just keep the game. Here's your refund.
That's not gonna happen.
Right. So when I said, okay, send the game back and you'll get a full refund, she's like, oh, my sister fixed it. So I've been burned by people like that before. So that's why I have to be, hey, if you want a refund, just send it back. That way I know you're not keeping the merchandise and getting your money back.
Indeed. There's also one situation I found out. There's some people out there who manipulate the marketing of certain consoles or certain game services like that of the Xbox Live subscriptions. One time, about 3 years ago, I was trying to buy an Xbox Gold membership for $1 monthly, a 1 month subscription for $1, and he says he's going to email it to me 2 days, not even 2 days after the sale when I made payment. So I did that, and I got the code, and it was illegitimate because I understand not everyone is a scammer online with the game codes, but when you input every single time gold subscription codes, it will be a rollover. It will add on to the fact. So that should happen with that code. And I told the guy about the matter. He said, why are you doing this to me? Why are you reporting it to eBay and stuff like that about being a scammer and all? Because it's supposed to work even if it's gold membership I had already. Because I'm supposed to add on another month to the matter. That's what I told him. But whatever the scam he did, he told me that it only works when you're silver, have a silver membership. That don't make any sense though. So someone's manipulated Xbox's coding or Xbox's code.
Yeah, but sometimes it can also work out. Like when I bought a transfer cable because I had to get a new Xbox 360 hard drive, and I wanted to keep all my game data. I ordered a transfer cable, and instead I already told this story before, about to say it again. I got like this green and white folder, and I'm like, what's this? This isn't a transfer cable. I opened the folder. It had a 25-digit Xbox Live code. I put the code in. It was worth a free year of Xbox Gold. I paid $15 for it instead of $60. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it.
And it was legitimate.
Yeah, it was legitimate.
Yeah, that's hard. That's very weird.
And then I had to go back on eBay and find a transfer cable.
Oh, so basically gave you the codes instead of transfer cable.
Yeah.
That was weird.
But the thing is, the code was worth more than the transfer cable anyway, so it's...
Yeah, you say a bundle pretty much.
Yeah, I got a good deal on the year of Xbox Live. But so anyway, this guy got his money back. PayPal didn't have to pay any part of the refund, which is weird. And you know what? I didn't need another reason not to sell on eBay, but now I got one.
Yeah, eBay for the last almost 5 years has changed because there's been a lot of scammers and swindlers and stuff. So So they
Yeah.
might think that you're like one of those type of guys where when they want like they give a hard time to their to their buyers. So you may be have a good reputation. You may have a 95, if not 99% positive rating, but there's always that one customer, no matter how gracious you are to them, and also flexible with them, they will find a way to get something for free, especially if they're young. That's
Yeah,
what.
so
That's why most
like I
people.
said, but like I said, I didn't like the changes eBay was doing. Um, so basically, I'm just taking my stuff off eBay. Right now, I have a positive feedback score on eBay of 97.1%.
That's pretty damn good. It's still good.
Yeah,
You're always going to have some sort of swindler or someone that wants something for free, and by lying
yeah,
about it, it's ridiculous. But yeah, it happens. And sometimes
yeah,
eBay will be on their side. I'm like, wow, that's that sucks.
yeah. So but the thing is, and he left me a negative feedback on eBay on top of that.
Okay.
I really don't care because, like I said, I'm done with eBay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be sticking to Bonanza.com. I'm still on price charting for video games. I'm still on Discogs.com for records. Everything's also going on Bonanza because that's kind of like an eBay website,
Yeah.
except they don't have auctions. And I'm just gonna push that, and I'm just gonna push that, and maybe I'll even make my own website. I had an idea of because like if you want to do like an e-commerce website through Wix or WordPress,
Yeah.
it's like $250-$300 for a year up front that you have to pay.
Goddamn.
I'm figuring I'll get like a free account, pick like a blog account, but then like when I'm promoting items, I'll put like all the information and then the link of where they can buy it from either Bonanza, price charting, or Discogs,
Okay.
and
Good
I'll sell
idea.
it that way. And I'll have a blog website with links where you can buy the different items,
That's a good
and that
idea.
might work. I just thought about that. I haven't even tried it yet, but like I know like if you do website, if you want to create your own website for like blogging purposes, it's much cheaper.
Yeah, eBay's starting to turn into a mainstream website, and they're not regulating the crap out of it, but eventually there's new users, younger users. That's when they start to turn iffy with them as far as selling, because it's always about getting the freest of the free or the cheapest of the cheap, rather than just paying
Yeah.
for a money talking situation. Like if you got the money, if you got the time, or both, then pay for it. That's it. You're not gonna get it for free. If it's priced too expensive, you let the seller know, and if they don't give a damn what you have to say, then they lose a customer. Because I was willing to buy certain games or certain items, whatever it was, for a certain price, but they were too expensive. Like I think, let me give you one example. I think I mentioned this maybe in the first 5 podcast episodes. Not sure when, but back in 2010, in fact 2011, no 2010 definitely, they wanted on Amazon. One seller was asking at least for Resident Evil 3 for PS1, at least $500 for the game.
What? That's insane.
At least it had to be $500, no more than 1,000, something like that, because it was ridiculous. Like I told the seller, like I was saying to him in an actual way, dude, are you kidding? You're selling Resident Evil for $500? If it's brand new, I'll buy it for $50 or $75, which I kind of did at one
Well,
point.
if it's brand new, the brand new games do go up over time, so I can understand that.
But this
if
was
it
the year.
just-
This was the year 2010, James. It wasn't right now.
that's still fine. I mean, Game Informer had an article like Chrono Trigger, brand new, still in the box, was like $1,500
Back in 2010.
back in 2007, 2008.
That early? Wow.
Yeah, but the thing is, these games are brand new. You know, the box is an original, the manual's original, and it's brand new condition. Those games aren't around anymore in brand new condition.
I don't know, James. It was just too much. The average gamer is still it's just started being an adult.
But the thing is, if you're gonna buy a brand new game, you're not buying it to play it. You're buying it to keep as a collector's item.
Okay. I do it both.
So
I do make sure both collected and play them.
I mean, we did a podcast episode where Super Mario Brothers 3 sold for like $20-something thousand, a graded version of Super Mario Brothers 3, and it's like, yeah, these games, but the graded version has the box, has the manual, and it's probably like all preserved in a protective package, and it's something but it's not something meant to play with. It's something that you're supposed to put like on your wall or something as like a collector's item.
Oh yeah.
Just like people who buy action figures and just hang them up on the wall. Yeah, because maybe 20, 25 years later, that will be worth something.
Like Jay-Z's portrait painting he mentioned in his rap song, O.J. Simpson, whatever he titled it. And he said, like, oh, this painting was worth $500,000. Now it's worth $2 million. And then $5 million. Now $7 million. Something like that he was saying. It was some exaggerated number, and he was telling the truth in his video or in his in rap song.
So that's the thing. I mean, you gotta distinguish: is the game to play, or is the game a collector's item? Now, if the guy had it just complete or loose, and he was selling it for hundreds of dollars, then there was something wrong with him.
But brand new in the year 2010 of Resident Evil 3.
Let me check price charting, see what the average was for Resident Evil 3, and before we stop for the night. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, PlayStation.
It was just too much for the average youth because we were just starting being adults back then. So it's kind of like, wait a while for it to catch up to that price.
Okay, they only have price brand new Resident Evil from like August to December. Oh, that's 2009. August 2010 to December 2010.
What's the price?
August of 2010, it was selling for like $85, and by December 2010, new copies of Nemesis was selling for $172.
Okay, I understand the 175, but 500 was too much.
Yeah, Resident Evil 3 was never worth that much collectors wise.
Maybe in the next 20 more years, when it's gonna be like the 50th anniversary of Resident Evil, some shit like that, then you can sell it for 500. Resident Evil 3, because the Resident Evil 3 remake that came out last year, obviously, it'll be in its 20th anniversary, 20 years from now. So it's all about the right timing of things. You can't just randomly sell it for a high price and thinking that someone's going to buy it in a very quick way.
I mean, I just checked on price charting. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, brand new. Price charting said the value is $208.02
for today.
Yeah.
That's not that bad still. But I got my own copy anyway, so I'm good for now.
Yeah, and you can always emulate it if you can't find a copy.
Here's the funny part. Back when before I found all the pirate-based stuff, there was this one website where they were like, distributing Resident Evil 3 games and other PS1 games for a certain emulation system. But when you try to play it on your computer, it either gets black screen or frozen, and that's it. Like you can't play the game at all. Basically, it was it was a flop or whatever, one of those defective copies of the emulator.
Yeah, I mean, emulators, you really gotta download them yourself or have all the games downloaded digitally onto an emulation system if you're gonna go that way. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because there is one other thing I want to cover, and even though we're going a little long, I guess we'll just go a little longer.
Why not?
There was a story, I think Larry Bundy Jr. covered it on his YouTube channel. A woman bought Tiger Woods 99 for PlayStation for her son.
Okay.
her son didn't have a PlayStation, so when he got the game, he put it in his computer, thinking it would work on his computer. Now, obviously, games don't work that way, but he was able to access like all the files of the game. And
Really?
when he accessed the files, he found something like a South Park clip in the files.
A South
It
Park
was from
clip?
like, yeah, it was like in their Christmas. It was like their Christmas pilot or something, like a 4-minute clip. I don't know why it was in the files, but anyway, like his mother came in and saw like the South Park clip playing, and when she saw it, she took the game back to the store because she was upset with because I think it was an undone clip, so like all the curse words were left in.
Oh, the unedited, uncensored version, yeah.
Yeah, and so basically she took the game back to the store, and when the game company, whoever created Tiger Woods '99, found out about it, the file was removed from later copies of the game. But if you ever get bored, and you got like PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, try putting them in your computer, see what comes up. You won't be able to play the game, but you might actually be able to access the files and see what's in there.
And be able to format it to a certain extent if you're good with computers and play it on the PC somehow.
I mean, my laptop doesn't have a disk drive, but
Understood.
But
Now, that's pretty
hey,
cool.
If you got PlayStation games lying around, see what happens.
Yeah, I'll put in my demo disc of the 1998-99 games, like Parasite Eve and Medieval and NFL and shit like that. And all of a sudden you'll see this new file.
It's a demo disc. You might find like other videos that weren't even accessible, or you might find game demos that are like unfinished.
That would be crazy if these editors, these game developers purposely did that.
But the thing is, I wouldn't do it like if you have like a great like speaking PlayStation wise, like if you have a greatest hits release of a game, don't bother because obviously everything that shouldn't have been in there was taken out.
Of course.
So like do it like if it's a black label PlayStation game or if it's like a first print game.
Of course.
But if you want to try greatest hits game, try so at your own risk.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so this is where we're going to end the podcast. The next episode will be on February 13th, 2021.
Valentine's Day.
Okay. The next episode will be Friday, February 13th, 2021, the day before Valentine's Day. Where we'll again be talking about the latest topics in video gaming.
All right.
Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, it's going to be interesting Valentine's Day weekend by that time.
You got a date?
I wish. We'll talk about it more.
Yeah, me too. Okay. So that'll be something we cover in 2 weeks from now. Until then, good night, everybody.
Bye.